And welcome back to the third shift, the best music show on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, everywhere you stream your content, everywhere. So today actually is special for two reasons. This is the end of the year episode where we're wrapping up our favorite albums, favorite artists, all that good stuff. And we do have our man Tyreek with us from the Fast Break podcast. He's taking a step over into the music world today because he does have some good music takes as well. So I'm glad to have you with us, bro, and excited to do this for sure.
For sure, this is long overdue.
It is
long
for
overdue,
sure,
man. We've been talking about this for like months.
Yeah,
we finally got it working, man. So let's get it.
I'm still waiting to have the Friday Night Lights debate with you because you and one of my other friends have been on my head all year about Friday Night Lights.
You probably still haven't listened to it, have you?
I'm not going to confirm. I'm not going to confirm nor deny that. So.
You know he ain't listened to that.
I'm not going to confirm nor deny.
My thing is, like, that is just such a classic mixtape, bro. Like, that is a gem, man. I can't believe you haven't listened to it, like, at least once.
Nah, I can't say I have.
That was my big time Dat Piff days, and like Dat Piff used to have it where you could like, if you signed in, you could like favorite your mixtapes, and then they dropped the app with it. So on the app, you had all your favorite mixtapes. So Friday Night Lights was like always getting played.
I think on Dat Piff I listened to Sorry for the Wait when Wayne.
Sorry for the Wait was big on Dat Piff.
Sorry for the Wait. Yeah. So I'm trying to think. We do honorable mentions on the Fast Break usually. So I know all of us can't just pick 5 albums this year to go with. So we do want to start with the runners up. And Tyreek, since you're our guest, bro, go ahead and give us your runners up for this year.
All right. So my struggle was finding the perfect number 5. Like I just couldn't. Cause like there were a lot of like good albums this year, but there were some that were just like okay, but they didn't really hit the way that I thought they were. I'm gonna start it with the top. Honorable mention, I got Certified Lover Boy in there. I just don't. I don't know if it was worthy of top 5 in my book. In my personal favorites, I
didn't know if it was worthy for a special mention.
You know what? I'm about to do this show by myself, man.
I'm gonna say it is because there's a decent amount of songs on there that I really do like. But I just feel like as a Drake project, it just wasn't cohesive enough for me. We can talk about that in a minute. I'm gonna get to the rest of my honorable mentions. I got a few. I'm a big Trippie Redd fan, so Trip at Night. It was
that was a good one. That was a good one.
I don't know if I could put a top 5, but it was a good album. I liked it. I was listening to Baby Keem's album, The Melodic Blue, earlier, and I hadn't listened to it maybe since like the first couple weeks it dropped, but it was pretty decent, like for my first time really experiencing his music. So I'm gonna throw it in there, man. I think he has some good upside going into the next few years. And my last one, it's an EP, but it's my boy. I gotta shout him out. My guy A Money, his EP First Ride. It's a little biased, but I think he's actually a really good rapper. He's from
I'm about to say you when it's your boy or something like that, like it before it get big. So
exactly, he's got an album dropping very soon. I think he said January, so be on the lookout for that, man. But that's my honorable mentions.
Guest on the show.
Hey, I'll hit him up for sure. All right, I'll hit him up for sure.
I do want to say, like side note, real quick, because I know Malik and I talked about this, but as far as Tyreek, your point about the Drake album that dropped this year, I think it's funny because you talked about, there's like this like standard we hold him to because of, how long he's been great for. But Malik, do you remember when we did the Donda versus CLB episode of this, we talked about how for as many songs are on CLB and maybe there's like 7 or 8 really good ones, and you kind of just like look at albums and like their totality. So it's like, okay, really a third of this album has songs that are like actually like worth listening to. And it seems kind of weird, but like when you look at just like the percentages like that, it's like, like, is this really a good album?
I don't like those percentages, man.
Yeah. So it was just funny you brought that up.
It was just like, bro, like Way Too Sexy was just, why did he put this on there? There was just, it's like, it had the classic good Drake intro, had the good outro. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But then like everything in the middle, it just seemed like he just kind of threw it together last second, but he pushed it back like months and months, like multiple times. So
which that's what kind of got me salty was you pushed it back to have 3/4 of the album be good. Like that doesn't add up.
I don't know if I was more salty about him pushing it back or Kanye, because Kanye was having the whole tours. He was having like the whole like 3, 4, 5, 6 listening parties.
That was crazy.
That was a good idea on his part. I think after Tyler, that was probably one of the best rollouts this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Malik, who your honorable mentions or runners up this year?
My honorable mention, I had to put J. Cole on there. Off season. It wasn't good enough to be a top 5 to me, but the off season was. My only reason is because it just wasn't that great on the first listen. It had to grow on me, which that's why I have to give it. I know you a huge J. Cole fan, Tariq. That's why I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna say it. It was a special mention for me, but the other one I had to put an R&B list because my top 5, top 6 list had no other genres except for hip hop. So Summer Walker's Still Over It is probably one of my, because I listened to that for like 2 weeks straight on some just background music, and I'm like, this album actually kind of good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's mine. What about you, Kaylee?
So I will say that I had to tweak this list a little bit. I'm gonna just give you these few. Vince Staples, his album was in my honorable mentions for this year. I do like the sound. I don't know. I feel like Vince Staples has kind of made that transition from like his early music, kind of like through everything he's had through the years to this project. So I was a fan of that. I saw somebody's tweet about this, but Nardo Wick, his album was actually. Oh,
that's in my honorable mentions too.
I still have to listen to that. I've been pushing it back for so long, bro.
You are asleep.
I wanted to put that in my top 5 so bad because that album is so hard.
I couldn't though because he's new. He like a rookie right now.
And that is what I was telling you earlier on the movie side of things, man. I said I haven't had enough time to sit with this album yet, so it's honorable mention for sure. And then I joke about this all the time, but it's actually serious. Adele, her album 30. I actually did have to have that in my honorable mention. So
okay. What's your favorite song on that album?
Strangers by Nature, the intro was actually fire. There's another song she has on there too where like she's like talking with her kid. It's like a conversation. I can't think of the name of the song.
And she's singing it?
Yes. I love that song.
It's like the third song on the album. But so yeah, those would be my honorable mentions.
My Little Love, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, she's like talking with her kid.
I'm
like
telling her kid all of her completely asleep.
It was a good first listen. Was very good.
It was.
First listen was very good. I wanted to make a comment. The reason why I didn't like the Summer Walker album as much, I think I'm comparing it too much to Over It, because Over It was dope.
Yeah. It was. That's what you saying?
I'm gonna re-listen to that over the weekend because it was cool the first couple listens, but then I kind of didn't revisit it at all. I think I got to revisit it for sure.
I want to go ahead, Malik.
I was just gonna say, Over It kind of felt like that was her like debut, like that was her all into that one, like that was her trying to get on. Like now she's rich, comfortable. You know how it goes for music people. And Still Over It just kind of felt like that. I don't care what people think. I don't care what the industry think. Like, this is just me in a sense. So I like those kind of projects from artists because it's not a lot of pressure to make those type of projects.
I just wanted to ask you guys real quick because I felt like the J. Cole's album, I did actually have it in my honorable mentions. I will say, I know, bro. I know. The Climb Back though was like one of my favorite songs though, like of this entire year. But I don't know. I just kind of felt like people were like on the fence with J. Cole's. I felt like it was either we really hated it or we really liked it. I feel like I'm like right in the middle with it.
Me too.
I'm like, I'll turn it on and listen to it. It's no issue. But I don't know. Like, what were your thoughts on the whole like Drake dropped, Cole dropped, but Kendrick didn't drop? Because we talked about this earlier, yeah.
That's not a good sign to me. The more I sit on that, it's like Kendrick. It's either two things. Kendrick had nothing,
okay,
or he has something where he needs the space. He don't want to be associated with a Drake drop, a Cole drop, all of that. Like he just needs the space to get off some real unique stuff. And I think that's the only two ways a Kendrick Lamar can go.
Because I know he has a Super Bowl halftime performance in less than 2 months.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, like, how long can we keep calling Drake, Cole, and Kendrick like this three-headed monster when, like, you know, there's other artists up and coming and Kendrick ain't dropped in like almost 5 years. So I mean, it's like, how can we really keep saying
it's just like he just must not love his fans, bro. It's been so long since he's given them a project. And like, I'm not like the biggest Kendrick fan, but I do like his music. I do like his music, and his last album, Dan, was like very good. Yeah. And it's just like he hasn't followed up or nothing. I mean, he was on a couple songs this year on Baby Keem's album, but like, that's really it. Like, I feel like the drop has to be like very soon, like before summer of 2022. It has to be something soon.
I hope it's before the Super Bowl, bro. Like, could you imagine like him performing the same songs like he toured on at the Super Bowl in California, in Los Angeles? Maybe he debuts it like at the Super Bowl. Maybe that's it.
When is the Super Bowl?
February. I don't know the date. Don't quote me. But it's in February.
I just feel like if you're like a major artist, dropping earlier in the year does not sit right with me at all. Because you're just asking to be forgotten about.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on that.
Yeah. No, I feel that. So let's go ahead and get into these top fives real quick. We'll start with our number 5. So Tyreek, what was your number 5 album this year?
All right. I've been switching back and forth all day, but I think I got it. Because when I was listening to this album when it dropped, I really liked it. And I was kind of surprised on how good it was. Punk by Young Thug. I really like this album.
Okay.
He had the Cole feature, that won my heart right there. He had the Cole
that
feature.
song was fire for sure.
Yeah, but he had a lot of very good songs. I love the song with Mac Miller at the end. I think that was a beautiful outro, perfect end track. And then my favorite song off the album is Dropping Jewels. Thug was just talking and stuff in that song. He was just talking and stuff. And then it has Thug, he's very experimental. He likes to switch it up a little bit. And you kind of got a little, different versions on him throughout the album. It was a very good project in my eyes, man. I think it kind of got forgotten about over the course of this year, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. Malik, what was your number 5?
I feel like either you guys are gonna know who this is, but his name is Lord Apex. He's a rapper from the UK. Okay. And the only reason I got on with him was a producer from Jersey named V Don. He produced for like a lot of New York rappers. Got on with this UK rapper, and he's like been the first UK rapper that's like, he says he's influenced by like Snoop, Tupac. Like he's influenced by 90s American rap. So just picture a 90s American rap and a mid-20s UK dude. Like, and he just makes these crazy albums, and he has Smoke Sessions 3, which it's a series of albums, and it's kind of like his growth of being just a UK rapper to now he has a US audience, he got a Germany audience, and he's just global with it now. And I just feel like the Smoke Sessions 3 is kind of like his like he global. There's not a lot of artists that can say they're global, and he definitely is.
It's always crazy to me when you kind of listen to a lot of the rappers from the UK and stuff. You could hear like elements of our hip hop in them, but you can also start to hear like elements of like their music and our music. It's just weird how it's starting to work. I think with like international.
The internet. I literally say it's the internet. Like you literally have people who have never associated with an American, have never had a conversation with an American, but can rap every single Drake verse. Like
literally,
like that's crazy.
Literally. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit on this. I'm gonna give a little bit of a twist just to help the conversation out. So number 5 was actually, I had a two-way tie. I had a tie at number 5. So between Wale's project, and then I had Boldy James and Alchemist. Bo Jackson was the other.
Bo Jackson.
One. And the only reason is I went back and listened to a lot of like other Boldy James music, whatever, because I wasn't crazy hip to him before this year. But everything he's done with the Alchemist, like as far as like production, it's like top tier. So I kind of feel like I would give that a little bit over Wale's. Wale did have Poke It Out with J. Cole, and that was fire. J. Cole's verse on that song was actually like one of my favorite verses.
Honestly, I wasn't a fan of that song.
Oh my God, bro.
That was a good song. I like that album though. I forgot about Wale's album.
I did
because people have dogged Wale for years. I'm like,
because he asked for it. Thank you, Tariq. Like he be asking, he be like, man, y'all need to stream my stuff. Like y'all need to buy. Like, yo, chill. You're like mainstream. You're good.
Thanks.
Did you see T-Pain put out the little thing of like what streams equal what on what platform? Yeah, that kind of made me think of that. I was like, hey, Wale's like asking for streams and everything.
Literally, but no, Wale got the check. Like he should not be the one on Twitter talking about y'all need to support me. Like that's crazy.
That's
exactly. Fact. So if we're going to number 4, Tyreek, who's your number 4 for this year?
Man, actually, I did forget about Wale's album, man. But if we're moving to number 4, I got Sincerely Cantrell by YoungBoy. I ain't gonna lie, man.
Okay.
I'll listen to it a couple times. The crazy thing is, little story time. When I was listening to it the first time, I was writing this paper, and it was just kind of playing in the background. And I'm like, hold up, like. This is actually like kind of nice. And it's like I had liked YoungBoy in the past, but I felt like he just dropped so much. It's like you kind of get tired.
It's hard to keep up. Yeah.
And I kind of got tired of him until he dropped this, and I'm like, this is the YoungBoy that I like. This is the music I like from him. good mixture of harder stuff, and then his little pain music that he drops and stuff. But I like this album a lot. I was listening to it the other day, and I'm like, yeah, this might be top 5 solidified for me. I got it at number 4.
That's tough. I gotta add to your story is I remember Cantley brought up the stat one time saying he had some crazy record for releasing a project in jail or something like that.
Yeah, he's the third rapper to have a number 1 project on the billboards while he's locked up. Lil Wayne and Tupac were the only 2 other guys to do it.
And what's crazier about that was like not too long after Kanye and Drake dropped.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
hit number 1 after those 2 big names dropped.
Yeah, so
that's
I tuned into it around that time, and I said the same thing. I was just listening to it like, this is a good project.
That's what made me go listen to it, because I was on Apple Music one day and I saw the charts and I said, who is this above Drake and Kanye? I said, who is this?
Young boy.
I had to go check it. I said, hang on, maybe I'm dreaming. I might be sleeping a little bit.
I gotta refresh the
page. And it was there. So now Young Boy did have a good project this year. His project was good. Malik, who's your number 4?
My number 4, man, is 4 Nim, Chief Keef. Number 4. As soon as I literally look, you know how like when they'll show the memes where like people will press play and pause and it's like a Drake album, they're like 10 out of 10, great album. That was me for this. That was as soon as I pressed play, I was like, oh, this is it. I was like, oh, this is
the one.
He really is in a crazy bag right now where nobody can be a Chief Keef. Like he's solidified now with this project alone. Like I'm very confident he could drop 3 more albums like this and they would probably chart the exact same just off of how he moving.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Number 4 for me, this is gonna sound weird coming from a guy, but I mean it's the world we live in. I had Doja Cat, Planet Her was actually number 4 for me.
Okay.
And the only reason I had Doja Cat was, one, I thought Kiss Me More with SZA was like a fire ass song. Need to Know was honestly one of those ones where when we talk about songs like WAP and all that stuff, like Need to Know was like a disgusting song, and I was like, oh, like she went there and did that. But I just felt like for a female in rap music, I feel like this year she really like pushed the limit. She shows you like, hey, like this is what it can be, like this is how big you can get with this. So I honestly think she might have been like the best female rapper this whole year. I mean, because we really didn't get a whole bunch from like other people that was worth like really counting. So she
mix of music is slim anyway, honestly.
Yeah, right.
Like female rappers, like
because like I said, I think in our lifetime, I mean, we could think of like, aside from like all the ones from like the 90s or whatever, when we like didn't even pay attention to music,
right?
And you think of like your Nicki's, your Cardis, like maybe like your Young Ma, she's another one I like.
Dej Love.
Yeah, Dej Love. So it's
and
like
that's really
that's really about it. So yeah, Doja Cat, Planet Her was one of my favorite projects probably this year.
That's solid. Did you see that she actually wanted to link up with a couple like sample producers? Like she shouted out Jay Versace, who Jay Versace's just produced stuff on Tyler. He just produced stuff with Boldy James. So like if she starts combining like pop rap with like that type of beats, I don't know what she about to get into. That's about to be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy.
Did y'all know she's like she has the most monthly listeners on Spotify? I didn't know that until like earlier today. I seen this on TikTok. I'm like, man, that's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hey,
that's crazy.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Well, we moving to
number 3 now. 3 now. Yep, Tyreek, you're up.
Honestly, kind of like how Malik said earlier with the off season, this album kind of did the same thing. Like it took a minute to really grow on me, man. But Voice of the Heroes by Lil Baby and Lil Durk.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I forgot about that one. That was a good one.
When did that release?
It was like a little after. It was, I think the end of May, maybe first week of June.
Yeah, I feel like that was forever ago.
Man, but like when I kind of pushed it off because Cole had just dropped. So I'm like, I'm not listening to anything except for Cole. But then when I listened to it, like the first listen was like, it was okay. I'm like, it's all right. But then the more I went back, the more I visited, I really enjoyed it. And there's like a lot of really good songs on there.
Yeah.
And I think these two are the kind of rappers like you don't know how well they would mesh on the album, but I think they meshed like pretty good for their first time really, making music together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they got it out the way too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people was asking for them to do some sort of project, collab, something. I'm glad they got it out the way, and it was good.
It was good. Yeah, that's the most important part.
I thought some of the features I had on there too were good because Hats Off with Travis Scott's actually that might be my favorite song on that project. The whole project's good, but that might be up there for one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely got some great songs on there.
Malik, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is, I think this was solidified number 3 for me. Tyler Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost. It was kind of like the first listen, I was like, okay, this is good. And then it just kept coming across my Spotify. I'm like, okay, Tyler did his thing on this album. And what really made it crazy is every interview he was like, man, I felt like rapping.
Yeah.
He was like, I just wanted to rap. I was like, okay, he put a lot into this project. So that's my number 3, just because it really had no skips for me. I think every song had its own type of feel for it, and a lot of albums, I think that's important for an album to not have that many skips.
Yeah.
Like I said, like the CLB. Like I said, my first play of CLB, I hated how much I was just like being nitpicky about which songs you like on the album. And the Tyler Creator album, I was just vibing to that mug.
My thing with Tyler, the album was good, and I think it's like definitely like it's gonna be one of the best albums of the year. It's gonna be, nominated for a bunch of awards. It's just like I'm just not a fan. Like that's just me. I'm just not a fan of Tyler. But he has his fan base. His fan base loves him. Yeah. And he did make a good album, man. It was a good album.
Yeah.
I remember I was sitting in the Panera parking lot that's like up on OSU's campus, and all these people were like, call this number, and I called it. And that was on one of the billboards in like Los Angeles, yeah. And so when I called it, it was like the thing of like him and his mom or whatever, and I was like, oh, like this is fire. And then that's when I was like, oh, like, and the thing about it is I think he dropped like his rollout at a decent time. It was like 2 weeks before his album came out. It wasn't like,
felt like less.
Yeah, I know it felt like less. It wasn't like, oh, like how Kanye did his. His was like all summer, like check this out. Just like, okay, dude. So now Tyler's is definitely up there.
Where you
number
at
3 for me, bro. I have CLB at number 3 for me. Just because like Tyreek, I think you mentioned before, like Drake's the intro outro are fire, and there's like a couple songs like throughout the whole thing that are maybe like 7 or 8 for me. I'm okay, like these are fire. Like you have like your Knife Talk, stuff like that. But
Knife Talk was tough.
Knife Talk was tough, yeah. 'Cause a lot of people didn't know who Project Pat was until this album, so I'm glad that Project Pat was kind of reintroduced to. Yeah. So. CLB was number 3 for me. I don't think it's like one of Drake's best albums. It's definitely like a lower tier one, but for this year, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it this year.
Cool.
It's one of my it's one of my least favorite Drake albums. I can say that much.
Yeah, I can say it's probably like a lower tier. It's probably down there with Take Care for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Take Care fan either. I'm gonna be honest.
And see, I thought that was you that tweeted that before. I'm pretty sure we agreed on that.
Take Care kind of lost its love for me too. Like I haven't gone back to listen to Take Care in so long.
I never do. Like there's songs I really like off of it, but it's like as a whole project, it's super long. First off,
yeah.
And it's just it's okay. Like it's cool, but they called it like a classic and stuff. I'm like, no.
I think Nothing Was the Same is more of a classic than Take Care. Yeah.
It is.
If you're reading this, yeah. So we're going to number 2s. We're getting down to it. Tyreek, who's your number 2?
This is another album that just like took time to really grow on me, man. Soulfly by Rod Wave. Even if you add the deluxe, this is still top 2 for me, bro.
Yeah.
And honestly, it could argue for number 1, and my listening hours will say it's number 1. It's the most listened album I've listened to all year. But man, it's just like Rod is just like his music just speaks to you, man. It just speaks to you. And even if you're not like, I'm not a sad person, but like when I listen to him, I can be doing anything. I can be working out, I can be at the store, I can be going for a walk. It just resonates with me, and it's just a good listen. And at first, when I listened to it, it was like, I'm like, man, I feel like Rod he ain't really do his thing. But then the more I went back, revisited it, I'm like, nah, this.
He said, oh, this fire.
This is it. And then the deluxe made it even better for me. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Yeah. Okay. I gotta add to why I was like, okay, Rod Wave really like that. I'm not gonna lie, this is how I judge a lot of albums, is how do other cultures like this album?
Yeah.
And Rod Wave, that boy, he got everybody listens to Rod Wave. I've never been in a room where majority of people are like, who is Rod Wave? Like, no. Like everybody's like,
Who he is,
especially
who
around
is he?
our age, like they're like, oh yeah, I mess with some Rod Wave.
I don't know who he is. Who is he?
No. You lost in the shuffle today. Like,
no, playing. You know what? Speaking of that, I'm really surprised like nobody's mentioned like Roddy Ricch, his album, or Juice WRLD's album. Like,
Juice
I don't
WRLD's
know.
album actually wasn't bad. I'll
Juice
actually
WRLD
put that
was
in.
good. Yeah,
I'll
Juice
actually
WRLD
put that as a special mention. But I wrote a whole article on it, man. Albums with people pass away with features of people that are still here. It still is just a very uncomfortable thing.
Yeah,
to go
it kind
through.
of is.
So I'm not gonna go back and listen to it. I did get my 1, 2, 3 plays in, but other than that, it's just weird. Like they're literally profiting off of somebody who's not here, and that's
Juice's his first post-death album. I really like that one. I think it was called, I forget what it was called, but I really did like that one.
Mhm.
This one, I'm like, it's okay, it's cool.
yeah,
Right.
Sounds like a money grab for real.
it
Yeah,
is.
absolutely.
And Roddy disappointed me, man. He let me down.
A lot of people said that Roddy disappointed him.
I personally think it got lost in what has happened this year. I think where he dropped it at right now, it's not helping him at all. Like we just have so much other stuff to listen to. Like he had to drop some like crazy stuff to really get up there. So hey, that's on him.
He did that before, and I think he kind of tried to follow the same method. And this album just wasn't it, man. There's not that song that's like really gonna carry it at all.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a song off this album, so he let me down, man.
Yeah.
So we're number.
Yeah.
Malik, you gave your number 2 already, right?
Yep, my number 2, Vince Staples, self-titled. That album, it was all produced by Kenny Beats too. Kenny Beats is a producer that's had a huge come up this past year. He's really big into like the underground scene.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to kind of get Vince Staples to pull him up like that was huge. The album was great because Vince Staples, I feel like, definitely went a route where he just was not trying to do like the pop mix stuff. Like he wasn't trying to do like his past albums were just very record label-esque albums,
Right?
Because you could tell a lot of people was probably like, nah, do this, like you gonna make more money doing this. This album, it was none of that. It was just, this is what I like to do, this is what I like to talk about. Like I said, he was able to hire a producer that's not, crazy big yet. I think it was that's definitely my number 2. I've played that, like you said, like my Spotify will say how many times I ran that up.
Shoot. For me, okay, man, look, I realized I left one off that I don't know why I did that. I left Justin Bieber's album off of here, bro. It definitely
Which one?
Justice? It definitely was in the runners. Yeah, I know. We talked about this on one of the first episodes we did. And I can't wait for him to go on tour this year because I might go see him.
He's coming to Columbus.
And Cincinnati. Cincinnati. I might go see him twice.
Who he bringing?
I don't know. He don't even bring anybody. Just bring yourself. That's all I need. So number 2 for me, I did have Baby Keem's the Melodic Blue album. I think Baby Keem, like, is this year, man, he really just broke out. The cover, like we said, Malik, we've talked about cover art before. His cover was fire. His features were fire. I thought his music videos were fire. The performances he's had, I mean, I think his presence is like super known now in the hip hop space. So his album was definitely one that was always in my rotation for this year. So Baby Keem, the Melodic Blues at number 2 for me.
Yeah, cool.
I had kept hearing about Baby Keem. I'm like, who is this? And they're like, man, he can be the next one. I'm like, man, I gotta go listen to it.
Right, there's 2 there.
Gotta go listen. And then it was right around the time when his album was about to drop. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be my first like introduction. And I was pretty impressed. I can't lie, I was pretty impressed with it.
He's better than Lil Baby, that's for sure.
Yeah, you talking out your
I don't know about that one, but hey, they probably be recording the same studios and all that. They associates, I'm sure, but
watch when we do this episode at the end of next year, you guys are gonna see how well that's aged. You guys are gonna be like, man, like Baby Keem actually is better.
I don't know. I could see that in the sense of probably like being commercial. Like I could see Baby Keem doing a lot of stuff outside of music. Lil Baby is a thug rapper, so I don't see him, taking that flight yet.
No, for sure. For sure. All right, so we're down to it. Our number ones for the year. Tyreek, who's your number 1?
Man, y'all already know what my number 1 is, man. And it might be biased, but
hey, it's all good.
Hey, that's all we're here for, bro. That's
music is the most subjective thing, like
ever.
Everything we could talk about. So look, the off season by J. Cole, it's just I listened to it in my car. Like it was late. it was late at night. I had just got home from like my parents' house. I'm like, man, cold drop. I'm just sitting in the car and listening to it. That was one of the best first listens I've ever had, bro. It was just such a good first listen. The Baby feature was immaculate. The Moray feature on My Life was great. So many good songs, man. My only gripe with it, and it's funny you said this earlier, Canley, that the Climb Back was your favorite song. When that dropped as like a 2-pack EP, I think 2020. I like The Lion King on Ice more than that, and I felt like that would have been a better song on the album.
I do too.
That was a fire song. It was fire, yeah.
But that's probably my only like issue with the album. Other than that, I really love this project by Cole. He did his thing.
You know what was actually really sweet about this album was one, the whole like no features thing was kind of like broken or whatever.
Yes.
But one, J. Cole and 21 Savage, I wouldn't mind having a project from them. I think whenever they're on tracks together, I think they're always pretty fire. And
nice little...
yeah, and J. Cole dropped that little like documentary on YouTube. Like I think it was the night before. That was fire.
I love that. That definitely that helped the first listen for me.
Yeah, because I watched that. I was like, oh, I'm ready for this album to drop. And like, granted, the album might not be my favorite, but that like got me like, I'm ready for this. So
another thing, real quick, my bad, real quick. I
good?
Seen him on tour too, and it was just like it just put the cherry on top.
For this album?
Yeah.
You went to Detroit, right?
Shoot.
I went to Detroit, man. I seen him on tour. That put the cherry on top. Like, yeah, it's probably like top 2 Cole albums in my opinion. My personal favorites is probably like top 2 for me.
That's what's up. It's aged well too. I will say that it's aged very well. That's why I was like, my first play, I just wasn't feeling it to be like, oh, this is one of my top albums of the year. Right. But the more I'll let it ride every now and then. And the song I really let ride, "Let Go My Hand" with Boss, and that song that's on like every playlist like I've ever made for sure. Like that song is fire. So that's why I'm like, it's definitely a good project. Where I rank it with the Cole albums though, I haven't had that sit down yet to think.
I haven't either.
I think if we visit it like maybe in like 3 years, people might look at it like, man, this is one of his best projects.
Okay.
That's how I think it's gonna age.
I think too, like with his cover art for this album, it was kind of one of those. It was almost like how Kanye was with Yeezus. It was almost like less is more type thing, because it really wasn't anything crazy. But you're like, oh, I still want to check this out, see what this is about. So I think even his cover art, I was like, yeah, that's kind of fire. No pun intended, but yeah. Malik, who's your number one?
So my number one is Isaiah Rashad, The House is Burning. I've been an Isaiah Rashad fan for, soon as I found out he was with TDE, I listened to the Sylvia demo probably every single day of my life for a little bit. That was like my freshman year of playing basketball too. So like I was listening to that before games, like everything. And this project was just great. And he had features from everybody you could care about. He had Uzi on there. SZA, and then on the deluxe he dropped, which was funny, the deluxe he called it Homies Begged. And he had Nudie on there, Young Nudie.
Oh shoot, okay.
And I just got hip to Nudie this year. I'm like, what? Hold on, Nudie make a move like this? So yeah, that's my number one project, and that's a bias for me just because I've been an Isaiah Rashad fan for years, and this project was like it was really good.
It was up there. Yeah, no, Isaiah Rashad's project definitely was good. If I had to put it anywhere, it'd probably be in my like runners, but I mean, it was definitely a solid project.
Yeah.
Number one for me, obviously, I have to go with Tyler's album. And like I said, I think it's more than just the music of it. Cause like Malik, we talked about rollouts, like he's had the shows and stuff. He has a tour coming up. It's just the
pop-up stores now that's coming now.
He has like Jay-Z and Andre 3000 and Kanye coming. So I'm like, Tyler's somebody now with these guys pulling up. But
100%.
I think you just looked at the way like he's aged over time, like possibly changing his name now to his last name.
Yeah.
And just everything about him, I think, he's just grown tremendously as an artist. Like he's selling out arenas now, not just doing shows at a bar like the first time I saw him in concert. So he's grown a lot. So Tyler's album is definitely number one for me. So
I'm salty I still have never seen him in concert. That's somebody I would definitely want to see in concert, just because I know I wanted to see his last project in concert where he was on some like
Igor.
rock type screaming the mic type stuff. I know people was in the crowd clowning for that.
Like what? Well, this
I'm
is
trying to.
No, go ahead.
I was about to say I'm trying to think of more special mentions. I gotta put Amine's project as one of my special mentions too. I don't know if you guys had a chance to play that. 2.5.
To the list.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good just because Amine, the only thing we knew from Amine for the longest was that freaking Caroline song. And the album he dropped after Caroline was a banger. And like, it was slept on completely. Yeah. I'm like, oh, y'all are tripping. So I feel like this album, like, he kind of was like, all right, like, we way far from that Caroline song now.
Right. Yeah, definitely lots of good stuff that dropped this year. But shoot, like as always, we gotta wrap this up because Zoom's about to kick us off. So new episode of The Third Shift, our favorite album drops of 2021. We'll be back next year. Tyreek's gonna be on here with us, giving our favorite music for next year. Everybody subscribe, check out our other content, and we'll see you all in 2022.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right.